Welcome to Designing Digital by SPINX. My name is Lisa, and I am joined here by my coworker, Valerie. Valerie, how's it going today?
Hey, Lisa. Hello, good people. It's going great. Thank you, Lisa.
Awesome. So I mentioned this is a podcast we're putting on by SPINX Digital, and SPINX Digital is an agency located in downtown Los Angeles. We help all sorts of clients in all kinds of different industries with their digital online presence. So that's everything from building them websites or redesigning a website that might currently exist, creating marketing collateral for them, helping them run those marketing campaigns, whether it is paid advertising, social media marketing. We do a lot of SEO work with clients as well. So everything to really boost your company, boost the brand within the online space there. So this podcast in particular, we just want to talk about what we're doing and kind of dive a little bit deeper into the day-to-day things that we get to do with some of our clients. And specifically with this podcast, we are in the middle of you might call it a mini series. This is going to be part 2 of working with law firm clients and kind of how we help law firm clients with their digital presence online. So previous episode, Valerie and I got to really dive into the law firm clients that we work with. We were talking about things like their target audience and who those audience members are and how each of those different audiences and the priority of those audience can drive design decisions that we make within websites. Specifically, we talked about the purpose of the site and kind of those goals that we look at related to each of those different audience members. And even, again, how those goals can differ between the different types of law firms that we've worked with. So today we're going to be jumping into part 2 of this mini series, and we're going to be diving deep into some of the important sections of the site. And Valerie, I'm so excited about this because we start to get into kind of some numbers and stats, and I personally love numbers and stats and using analytics to drive decisions. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I know you do love numbers and stats. I also do. I love data. I love bridging kind of the creative side of web design with the data-driven side, the kind of more almost scientific side of, really the data really kind of informing what we do and the design decisions we make, the direction we take. So I'm excited too. And just a shout out for last week's last episode, or part 1, I should say. We do speak a bit about the kind of more broader and more general, web design methodologies. So definitely go give that one a listen if you want to hear kind of the lead up to some of the more nitty gritty we're going to get into right now.
Absolutely. And before we do that, can you tell anybody who's listening a little bit about yourself and your role at SPINX?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Valerie, and here at SPINX, so I wear 2 hats. I'm an account executive, which means that I'm oftentimes the first person that has a conversation with a new client. We kind of set out on first crafting the initial strategy for how we will tackle their website design project. I am also a project manager. So in the case that I, am the account executive who speaks to a client for the first time, and we agree on a strategy that we're going to move forward with, I also then get to become the project manager on that project. So that means that I will be kind of heading up, setting out on a project kind of schedule. I keep the project moving along. I help manage communications between our client's team and our team, and take the project across the finish line to launch.
Yes, and Valerie is excellent at everything that she does, I gotta say. And then a little bit about, a little bit about myself. So my name is Lisa. I am the Director of Creative and Strategy at SPINX. I've been here for quite some time, over a decade now. And I am really involved once, like Valerie was talking about, that approved strategy is ready to move forward. I am super involved in diving into the project and kind of overseeing the production side of things. So overseeing the UX strategy, if we are going deeper in creating things like wireframes or doing some user interviews or user testing. There's all kinds of activities we can do if we're doing like a deeper discovery. And then I see it from that point forward into the creative design process. So doing a lot of overarching like design direction, leadership and guidance with that, reviewing designs and reviewing all the creatives before they're presented to any of our clients, and then making sure that the strategies that we are crafting and putting into, the design language, so giving a visual look and feel to, making sure that those are backed by intentionality. There are reasons for why we design things a certain way. There are reasons why we lay pages out a certain way. And a lot of that is based on user behavior we've observed over the years, studies that have been done, numbers, analytics, data. And then ultimately, we want to create the best possible experience for people who are coming on the site. We want to make things easy to use. So using kind of those guidelines and best practices to really guide even how we're laying stuff out on a page, which we're going to dive into a little bit deeper now. So let's dive in, Valerie.
Absolutely.
So this was kind of a fun thing that we did. I like digging into numbers and facts and analytics and looking at how people are actually using these sites that we build for our clients. So we've worked with, dozens of law firms over the past, as long as I've been at the company, probably even more before I joined the company. And we have been fortunate to be able to continue to kind of track how people are using the site. And so these numbers are going to be anonymous. But I will say, when we were analyzing some of this traffic, we wanted to take a look at how are people really using these law firm websites that we are building out. And where are people going on this site? What sections of the site are they utilizing the most? Because that can be used to drive important decisions, like what are their goals when they're getting to the site? Where do people actually want to go? What is most important for them? What are they looking to find when they land on a site? So stuff like that. The analytics can really help answer some of those questions. So we took a look at an annual traffic of over 7 million views across multiple of these websites that we've worked with, and kind of broke it down to see where people are going most often.
I love this. I wanted to just point out, so in some cases, in many cases actually, and this is always our goal, really. We love, long-term partnerships with our clients. We love to kind of grow with our clients. And in the event that we do get to do multiple iterations of their website. So in some cases, for example, as a law firm grows, we will get to do a refresh or a rebranding or a redesign of, full redesign of their website. In those cases where we serve as sort of the almost, digital marketing kind of branch almost of their firm, we will use that data that we're collecting. So we, have analytics software installed on their site and configured on their site so that they're able to, see how the new design is performing, how effective it is as it pertains to the goals that we set out to accomplish with the site redesign. So in that case, we have this data, and the data Lisa's about to speak to is the kind of sum of that across all of these firms that we work with and have partnered with over the years. What's really fun is when we get to do a redesign, when we kind of hear the types of ideas that our firm has, it's really interesting to see how the data lines up with what they might think would be, kind of priorities for the redesign versus what the data tells us, meaning what their target audience tells us. So these numbers basically reflect the actual users, and our job is to essentially, kind of infer from this hard data what it means about how they're responding to the design and the user experience. I just think it's so much fun. I also wanted to shout you out, Lisa. You're brilliant with this stuff. We're humble, so you just kind of described the hat you wear in a broad way, but it's so much fun to this part of our partnership with our clients. It's just so much fun. I think it's so fascinating. It's always fascinating. There's always surprises, which is, I think, what's so fun about this.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, Valerie. It's very kind of you. Yeah. And I love diving into the numbers, the stats, and finding that story behind them to kind of pull into the overall decision making. Obviously, numbers and stats are one thing, and sometimes there are other goals driving decisions that firms may make from a marketing standpoint. They may see that people are going to one part of their site, but actually they have a goal to drive them to another part of their site for a different reason. And stuff like that, it's all about the conversation, getting to know them, getting to know their firm priorities. And then we also take that into consideration when we're making decisions. But we've been teasing this up a little bit. So let's kind of dive into what we did was we broke down section by section where people are going across these law firm sites. So again, looking at over 7 million views over the past year, we broke down the sections of the site by percentage that people are landing on. And there's a lot of commonalities between law firm sites as far as what sections are on the site. By far, the one that won out the most is the attorney list and detail pages. So we'll call that the attorney section as a whole. So this is that section of the site where, the firms are listing out their attorneys that work there. They're listing out associates, partners of counsel, basically everybody that people can go and find and contact at their firm. And that got 55% of the overall views, which is kind of crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. If you think about it too, a lot of these sites, we're talking, these are all sizes of firms that we're talking about included in this analysis that we did. So you've got some big law firms in there, you've got smaller boutique firms in there. But when we took all the averages here, when you're looking at that really tells us that over half of people who are coming to this site, whether they are landing directly on these pages or maybe navigating to them from a different page that they landed on the site, they're interested in finding out about the people who work there. They want to either search for an attorney and be able to find who they're looking for based off of maybe what they practice or where they're located, or, there's all kinds of different ways that attorneys can be filtered and searched for. Or maybe they know who they're looking for and they just want to jump on there and grab their contact information. Maybe they just need to give them a phone call or something like that. But that number, that 55% of people who are viewing, pages on the site are going to this attorney section. That's huge. It's a lot of people.
Huge. Even though it makes sense, it still shocked me. It's just a really high percentage by any measure. So it's means that we obviously need to pay really, really kind of strategic attention to that section of the site, how it's designed, how it's laid out, and make it really, really easy for people to get to it, since it's clear that that's where they want to go.
Absolutely. And even when we're thinking about these pages and really strategizing about that overall user experience and kind of thinking about, even within that section, what are people interested in? What information do they need kind of front and center to be able to grab easily when they land on these pages, whether they are going to that list page and doing a search, maybe using some of the filters that are available on that page, or diving into an actual attorney detail page, which can get super thorough. Obviously, on those attorney detail pages, one of the most important things that we've found over the course of the years when we've been building out these law firm sites is to really have the contact information front and center above the fold. So, when someone lands on that page, whether they're on a desktop or on a mobile device, having like a phone number, an email address, the ability to download a V card, having that information viewable on the screen right off the bat has been something that's super important so that people can easily grab that if that's their purpose for coming on the site, if they just need to get that contact information for somebody. And then kind of as you scroll down those detail pages, there's different approaches that we've seen, firms want to take there. A lot of times it can be very business, like down to business, like the professional bio that's written really well, that talks about all experience an attorney has, listing out any professional organizations they're involved in, listing some of their notable cases so people can see where they've had success in the past. Obviously, listing out practice areas that they practice law within, listing out, there's all kinds of detailed information. Sometimes, they're contributing to insights or news articles or white papers or items like that on the site. So cross-linking to those are really important. Again, just kind of like speaking to the expertise of that attorney and surfacing all this information on their page so you can build trust with someone who's coming to the site and maybe checking an attorney out.
So Lisa, one other thing about an attorney page. So imagine, of course, somebody is specifically looking for a particular attorney, or they come to the firm's website and what they're interested in is seeing the list of the different attorneys that are associated with this firm. They, select one that they want to actually look a little deeper into. They land on their bio page. One of the things that we always want to take into account is if somebody took the time to navigate to a particular attorney's page, one of the things that we can do, and kind of the beauty of designing a website, and really getting to kind of craft how it is we, present the content on that site to our users. We can actually connect some of the data throughout the site with these different sections of the site. So for example, for an attorney bio page or detail page, we can connect, office locations. So let's say that they work out of one particular office. We can say where that is. We can list news articles, publications, and things like that are associated with that particular attorney. Representative matters or case, results, those types of sections of the site. We can connect individual ones to a particular attorney. Events, if there's speaking engagements or if there's, press or media that attorney shows up in, we can connect those pieces to the site. We can connect practice areas, so particular practice area sites that attorney represents. All of those things can be in one place. We can do this in a way that's intelligent, so we can program the website in a smart way to dynamically pull some of this content so that each attorney's page is really specific to that attorney. Somebody who's interested in that attorney can really get a comprehensive picture of who this attorney is, what their experience is, and what they're bringing to the table, all in one place. Since we know the attorney list page and detail pages or bio pages are so important, 55% of viewers end up there. That's one way to really enhance that section of the site. It's a way to really give the user everything they could possibly be interested in to make the case, for lack of excuse the pun, but to make a case for why this firm, right? Why this firm, is the right fit, and why this particular attorney might be, the one to represent the case of the user or of counsel, whoever it is who's coming to the site. This is a place where we really can provide a lot of great content. and connect it all, have it all there in one place, and make it really easy to navigate to the different areas of that, attorney's bio page.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because it really is all about providing as much information as we can at people's fingertips.
Right.
And then the trick kind of comes when we have all this information, we have all these resources we're kind of cross-linking to. How do we prioritize it in a way that makes sense? How do we design it on a page and lay it out on a page in a way that also doesn't overwhelm the senses when someone lands on that particular bio page? Because a lot of these that we've noticed within the law firms we work with, when an attorney has a ton of experience, that's amazing. You want to talk about all of that experience that they have. You want to show that off. But that's one of the challenges that we deal with every day when we're designing and laying out these pages, is how do we show these things off in a way that doesn't overwhelm the user, that doesn't make them land on the page and just go, oh my goodness, there's so much here, I can't possibly read all this, and then they just leave.
Exactly.
So that's kind of part of the fun we get to do. We get to figure stuff like that out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this section of the site is so huge. So even let's say, there's different goals, obviously, that drive different sizes of firms, different types of firms, depending on what they practice. Maybe the firm is taking the approach that their site is more of a marketing site, which, again, shout out to the last episode that we recorded. We go much more in depth about the different goals that different firms choose to pursue there. So go check that out. But let's say someone takes the approach where, they see their site as a marketing piece. Maybe their number one priority, though, is to use it as a recruiting tool. And that's their most important thing. Even though we know that, we still know as the design agency that we want to make sure this section is crafted really well. It's easy to use. It has information people are looking for right at their fingertips, because we still know it's going to receive a lot of traffic, if not 55% of the traffic, because, again, this is an average. It can fluctuate up or down depending on the exact firm that we're looking at. But just knowing in general, this is where the majority of people are going to want to go to get some information. We know to pay special attention to this section. All right, so coming in second, so that was kind of the first most visited. Coming in second, this one should maybe be a little bit less of a surprise. This section receives 20% of the overall views of traffic landing on the site. So this is the homepage. So this, if you're looking at analytics reports ever and you're seeing a breakdown by pages, probably 99% of the time, you will see most of your traffic going to this page first. So, and this is not just across law firm sites. This is across, almost all industry of sites that we've looked at analytics for, seeing that the homepage is the most visited page on the site. So kind of hearing that it is one page, as opposed to the attorney list and detail pages could be hundreds or even thousands of pages across a site when you get to those really, giant law firms that we've worked with as well. This is going to receive, the most traffic on one single page. So coming in with 20% of the overall views. This is still kind of crazy, though, because 75% of your traffic are going to these two sections between the homepage and the attorney list and detail or your bio pages there. Isn't that kind of crazy?
It is. It's not surprising, of course, but it also means it adds weight to what that homepage design looks like and how to direct people from the homepage. I mean, really, the homepage is obviously often the first impression, which is why we usually prioritize that as kind of almost like the foundation of how the design of the rest of the site will look. But really, the homepage, if it does its job, should be the gateway to the rest of the site. Or to an immediate action, one or the other. And so it's interesting to see when you kind of add these up, just how much strategy needs to go behind these two sections of the site. The homepage, of course, and then making it really easy for people to get to the attorney sections, knowing that is, of course, a literal majority of people will go there.
Yes, absolutely. And when we're really looking about, what content to include on a homepage, how do we structure this content and prioritize content on the homepage? There's a bunch of different ways we can go about kind of laying stuff out. So what we like to do is when someone lands on a homepage, we want them to have obviously a positive first impression, but we really want to wow them. So using a combination of the right graphics, the right imagery, and then the right type of content that's going to speak to their target audience or audiences who are landing on the homepage here, using that language. And I've kind of noticed maybe there's three different directions that we see the majority of the time with law firm sites. We see law firm sites either opening with kind of a broad statement about what they do. So if they are specialized in a certain type of law, calling that out right off the bat. So when people land there, they know, okay, this firm specializes in this type of law. And either that's what they're looking for, so they stay and they explore more, or that's not what they're looking for, so they know that they're not a good fit for them. That's one approach. Another approach that is pretty common that we've seen a lot as well is kind of leading with social proof. So whether that is a rotating quote from a publication that's talking about how impressive the firm is, maybe including some award seals that they've won if they've been, named in like the top 100 law firms or something like that. Maybe they've gotten recognized for their work within the particular field that they specialize in. So calling that out in that hero or that above the fold area there, the area, the homepage that people see right away. And then a third approach can be kind of leading with expertise or leading with insights and using articles, insights, white papers, publications, different items that either their attorneys have written or their in-house marketing team has put together that talks about, where they excel as a law firm, kind of leading with the more publication news focus. So maybe it's rotating some of the recent items that they've added to the site in that above the fold, or maybe listing out 3 so you can see the 3 there and keeping that updated on a consistent basis so it feels fresh if someone visits the site and then maybe they leave the site and they come back a couple days later. It's not feeling like they're just seeing the same content over and over again. So those are kind of 3 approaches that we've seen for that hero area. As you go down, I think the most common approach we see is kind of trying to tell that story of the firm overall, maybe including a very brief intro to who they are. This might be a little bit more common on some smaller law firm sites, maybe a more boutique law firm, maybe including some numbers and stats that really speak to who they are, some impressive numbers and stats. If they operate a lot of offices around the world, calling attention to that. If they have won, huge settlements for clients, calling out stuff like that. Again, this is kind of like leading with some of the social proof, pulling that into the homepage. So you're building up that impression right off the bat for people who are landing there before they jump to another part of the site. Calling attention to practices is pretty common on the homepage too. So either, if there are tons and tons of practices, maybe some of the most popular practices that people are interested in learning about can make sense. Or if it is a boutique law firm site, calling attention to their specialized areas of practice within there and then guiding people, on their journey to learn more about their experience within each of those practices. Maybe pulling in an attorney search too, since we do know people are looking to get to that section quickly and finding who they're looking for within there. That's something that's super common too, that we've done on various homepages as well. There's all kinds of different ways, but overall, I think the most important thing is just thinking about that overall journey and those goals that are kind of driving the overall site strategy, and then figuring out what content aligns best to marry those things together.
Absolutely. If we have the luxury of any data, so if we're working with a client who has been, who does have analytics software installed and they are able to see, what it is people who come to their site want to see, if we have that luxury, then we'll obviously take that into account. In the event that we don't, which happens all the time, a client might come to us. They're either starting a firm for the first time, so obviously they don't have any data, or they just haven't been tracking, or they don't have access to any analytics data. Then it's more about really picking their brains about what people want to, what kinds of questions people ask first when they talk to them. What is it that people want to know? What is it that people are there to accomplish when they come to visit the site. And that goes back to, who are your target audiences? How do we prioritize those audiences?
Yep.
To kind of decide what that first action is going to be. In
Yes.
all cases, of course, with a homepage above the fold. So as you said, Lisa, above the fold, meaning the area of the page that you first see before you ever scroll. It's about making a really strong impact. It's about really conveying, who this firm is and why they're the right fit for you. But as far as that first call to action, it's amazing when we have data to kind of drive that.
Yes.
But when we don't, it really is about kind of making the best you're essentially extending a hand, right, to the client, to the user. Here's where you might want to go next. Check out more about, read more about the firm, or do, like you said, maybe an attorney search. Are you looking for a particular attorney and you already know who they are? Or is it a particular practice area? Or do we just want to say, we are out there, we're active, here's our latest publications, or here are the latest case results, highlights from kind of what we're out there doing in the world. And it's just about kind of providing that first step for the user. They're here, we've caught their attention, they're interested, we've been able to convey who the firm is. And now it's about taking them to the next place, where is it that they want to go, and making it really easy for them to get there. And that's kind of, it's always amazing when we have that data to look at, but when we don't, so many different options of where to take them. And it's really about the user and obviously the firm and what their goals are for the website design.
Yeah, those goals are so foundational to all the decisions that get made during this design process. So it's really, those are so key and so crucial.
Yeah.
All right. So we've spent a good chunk of time talking about the attorney section, talking about the homepage, which makes sense because that's where the majority of people are going on the site. But let's talk about the rest of these pages and kind of the breakdown that we saw of views that each of the rest of these sections get. So we have legal and insights and kind of thought leadership pieces. We found that section in particular. This can include news as well, publications, events. That gets about 8% of the overall views. Careers comes in fourth with the most number of views. That gets about 7% of the total views. And then following careers in fifth place is practice areas. You have your list page, you have your detail page that kind of goes into all the various practice areas that a firm practices within. That section as a whole gets 4% of the views. Any location pages. So if there is, whether this is just one contact page that maybe lists out one to a handful of locations, or if there are specific like office detail pages built out too, it can include this. That gets 3% of the overall views. And then you have the rest of the pages on the site, which get fewer than 3% of all the views. So you've got like the about section, maybe a victory section. You have your search on the website, kind of et cetera, et cetera. You have like legal pages that have all your privacy policy and the legalese on there that you have to have on the site. Anything surprising out of those numbers, Valerie?
It's a shock. All of it is a shock. It's like, I think the about page is something that gets so much focus during the design process because it's natural for us to think that people want to know more about us. And the reality of it is, most people on a law firm site want to get right down to business. They want to see who it is that's going to be representing their case. They want to see, you know, the kind of results this firm and the attorneys within the firm have been able to get for their clients. They're about themselves. That's the truth. At the end of the day, it's, you know, this is a potential partnership that requires, you know, trust. And so it requires, you know, putting forth the expertise of the people in the firm. And it's just so fascinating to me. The about page is always a conversation in our design process. And it's a conversation because for obvious reasons, you know, it feels like it's just extremely important to tell the story in a more detailed way, and to see that we have an almost negligible percentage of views that go to not just the about page, but multiple pages within. It sort of falls into this almost negligible category. It's fascinating. Not to say we should neglect it. People do go to that page, of course. It's just incredible to see it down there at the bottom of this list. It really speaks to how important it is. So for us as the design agency, you know, as the team who's been kind of put in charge of speaking for the user, our job really, you know, it's our firm's job to, you know, decide how they want to tell their story. And then it's our job to kind of translate that into a visual language.
Yes.
But the heart of the design process here really is speaking to these target audiences, and seeing, you know, these cold hard numbers is just so incredible, because then it, you know, that's why, you know, we are able to kind of bring these insights and this type of expertise to the project itself, to the process of redesigning a site or designing a new site. Or we can say, look, these are the priorities. This is where we really need to focus, because at the end of the day, this is about providing the best possible, you know, the most optimal user experience for these potential partners, whether they be potential clients for the law firm, so new clients of counsel, a potential new team member. It's so incredible to see it like this, and where our priorities need to lie. And it's not so much that we deprioritize the design of these different sections, so much as it really informs how we set out to connect these different sections of the site. So how we prioritize, for example, navigation, and then calls to action throughout the site. So where we're leading people, we can then kind of make the assumption that chances are people are going to want to see this. Chances are they probably next will want to see this, and being able to really sprinkle those through, make it really easy for people to get where we know clearly that they want to go.
Yes. That is so key. And like you said with the about too, a lot of times this can be even a whole built out section on some of the sites that we do, where, you know, there's maybe 5 or 10 pages that talk about different things, not just about the firm, but about the culture, about, you know, maybe diversity, equity, and inclusion, maybe about their sustainability practices within the firm. There's all kinds of things that, you know, get put within these sections. But when you look at the numbers again, it is kind of a good reminder of if we're going to spend more time focusing on one area or the other, keeping in mind where actual visitors on the site are going, and hopefully prioritizing attention and resources toward that section of the site to really build that out well and think that through super well. I think where I was most surprised by these numbers are actually the careers section and then the victories page.
Victories being just completely like almost negligible amount of traffic. It's incredible because that, again, that's one of those, same as the, you know, if there's a dedicated about page, same thing. They come up, they really kind of dominate the conversation for obvious reasons. You would think that people want to see these kinds of things, but it's kind of incredible to see. And part of this could be, so when we set out to design a site for a law firm, the content that the about page houses and the content that we show on what would be a victories page, those are two things that we actually want to put front and center on, say, a homepage. Yes. That we want to sprinkle throughout the site. We want those victories sprinkled throughout. We want the messaging that would be on an about page to be everywhere on the site. And so, you know, the inference here could be that people almost don't feel a need. Or, like I said, maybe it's just this idea that they really just want to get down to business. They already know they're here for a reason. And what they need to see is who's at this firm. What have they done? What are their accomplishments? Who are they? It's really that. I mean, it could just be that simple, or a combination of both. Absolutely. Maybe if the design of the site is not great at telling the story of who the firm is, perhaps those numbers would be higher. Perhaps the percentage of people who actually clicked through to see who are these, like who is this firm exactly? You know, that might factor in a little bit. Obviously, this is a particular, you know, control set here, because these are our clients whose sites we've designed. So this may also speak a bit to how we've designed the sites. It's fascinating. It's fascinating because, I mean, if we could somehow track the amount of time that we've spent talking about those types of sections of the site with our clients. Yes. Because they're assumed to be so vitally important. It's incredible to see it lumped together at the bottom of a list. It's like, it's just incredible. But I think that said, it's important to note, if a page of a site gets even one view, we have to dedicate the same amount of time and strategy and design, of course, to that section, to that page. It's not a negligible thing. It's just about how we organize navigation and how we actually get people there, and whether we prioritize or deprioritize those call outs to those sections. I think that's the big difference. And you'll see I don't know this for a fact, but I would bet that the majority of websites out there in the world list an about page first in the navigation.
I see that a lot. I see
it almost 100% of the time when somebody comes for a redesign. I really do. It's almost ubiquitous out there. So it's interesting to see, you know, here you have a limited real estate. All we have is a bit of space, especially on a phone. My goodness. We have like almost no real estate for a navigation menu. And to put that right up at the top, forcing people to then read through the rest of the options to find out where they're going, when we know what it is that they, you know, really need and really want to see. In the majority of cases, it really just, the strategy here kind of, you know, that type of data really informs what strategy makes sense. And it's incredible.
It is. And one more thought too, when we are able to cross-link things like the victories, like insights, thought leadership, practice area list and detail pages onto these pages that people are already going to, like the attorney bio pages. I think, again, like you were saying, because we're listing some of these things and cross-linking to it and pulling that information onto this bio page, it probably does cut down the need for people to then jump around as much into the site because they're able to find what they're looking for in one place,
Exactly.
which is great.
Yes, I didn't
That's
even
what
think
we
of
want. That's what we want
true.
to be able to deliver.
Exactly. It's just reduction of friction, reduction of just the work of having to look around at different things.
And try to find things.
Exactly.
And dig for it as opposed to it just being there for you.
And organized in a thoughtful way. And presented in a way that's not overwhelming. So we'll use a lot of different techniques. We'll probably go deeper into that, but for how to actually organize this content and how to present it in a way that isn't overwhelming. We know now, I mean, and we've been kind of trained, all of us as web browsers, we've sort of been trained to really, our attention just keeps shrinking and shrinking. So it's really about giving them everything that they, might want to see in one place, but making it really easy for them to move around to it and not just be hit with this wall of content, because we all know that's just, we just simply leave if we feel overwhelmed.
Yes. Very, very well put. All right. Well, we dug deep into this one section here, which means we're going to have to go into a part 3 to talk about the rest of it, because I don't want to have this episode go too long.
Wall of content.
Wall of content. Yes. Wall of content.
Yeah, well, we break it up.
Yes, try to make it a little bit easier to digest, hopefully. But we do have some other really cool stuff we're going to talk about. Things like how to bring social proof onto a law firm website, how design language can really affect how people feel when they're on your site, and which really translates into how they feel about your firm. And, so many other things, responsive design, accessibility, getting people to the site. So we have a lot more to talk about. We'll go into part 3 for this, but this has been fun digging into this with you, Valerie.
I love this stuff.
Same. Give me numbers, give me stats.
Yes.
Let me use it to make intentional decisions, and I'm just as happy as can be.
Absolutely.
If anybody is listening, though, and you do want to find us online, you can either search for SPINX Digital in Google. Will come right up as long as you spell SPINX, SPINX, or you can go right to our website. It's spinxdigital.com. Again, SPINX digital.com, and you can find out more about our agency on there. You can see both law firm clients that we worked with in the past, as well as clients from many, many other industries, because we are not industry specific. We work with people throughout a broad range of industries. So everything from, the legal industry to healthcare to entertainment, hospitality, manufacturing. There's just so many other industries that we've worked and built out sites and marketing collateral for clients within all these industries for their digital presence. So check us out there and hopefully join us for part 3 of this mini series we're doing.
Awesome. Yeah, reach out, people. We love to chat. So give us a call if you'd like. Fill out the form on the site if you want to chat. Otherwise, we will dive deeper in part 3.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening.